I'm now looking at the widgets page as I'm logged in on my WordPress site. And the widget regions that are available will vary depending on the currently active theme. So 2012 and therefore my 2012 child theme have 3 widget regions. There's a main sidebar, which is used on anything that shows a sidebar. And then there are these 2 front page widget areas, which are used only when special page templates are chosen. So referring back to the actual site, I'd like to be able to include some custom content up here. Now, I could hard code this into my header, but what I'd really like to do is let people choose what they want to display up here. And so for that, I'm going to need a widget region. And if I want a new widget region, I have to make my own. So let's do that now. So looking here in my themes directory, I have 2012 and I have its functions.php file. Now what I don't want to do is copy this into my child theme. Do not want to do that. Functions.php is unique among theme files in that it is shared and not overridden if you create a new one. The functions that I create in my child theme will be added on to the functions in here. So what I really want to do is create my own in my child theme. And my shortcut for doing that is to duplicate one of the existing files, rename it, and then I'm going to open it in Sublime Text and take everything out, start from scratch. I'm just going to leave the OpenPHP tag in here, and then I'll put in a comment that I might fill in later. So now when I save that, there we go. Now there's no weirdness going on in my theme. But I have a stub functions.php file to which I can begin adding stuff. Now the way writing a functions.php file tends to work is you write a function that will do something, and then you call another function that will tell WordPress what your function name is and when it's supposed to fire. So the first thing that we're going to do is write our function that will actually add the new widget region. So I'm going to drag this over here so we can see what's happening in the background as we work. So I'm just going to create a function, and I'm going to name it starting with the name of my theme. So my theme is 2012 child. And then from here, I can call it anything I want. I'll call it widget regions. So this is what a PHP function looks like. And now inside this, I'm going to call some WordPress functions. Actually, I'm just going to call one. Register sidebar. It's fully documented here on the WordPress codex. You can see the format that it takes here. And I've written up a block of code that I'm going to copy and paste in now. Let me wrap this so you can see the whole thing. There we go. Okay, so we're going to call register sidebar, which looks like this. And so what this function does is it just creates a widget region. You need to give it an ID, which will be used in CSS down here. You give it a name that's displayed on the dashboard, which will be this. A description, which will appear here. And then some markup that's supposed to be used before the widget and after the widget, and then before the title and after the title. These defaults are pulled right out of the codex, more or less. I'm using div tags instead of li tags, but it's otherwise basically the same. And I definitely recommend that you use this format because it gives you nice classes and a sensible ID. And so once you've done this, you're almost done. This function will take care of everything for you. Now we just need to tell WordPress to call it at the right time. And so the function we use for that is add action. And once again, I've written ahead of time a little bit of code here. And so here's how add action works. You tell WordPress when to call it by giving it a tag. And I'll just tell you that for any definition of widgets, the tag that you want is widgets_init. You could see a whole reference on all the actions that are available and when they get called here on the action reference page in the plugin API. WordPress themes have access to everything the plugins have access to, pretty much. And as you can see, the list, if you look at my little scroll thumb here, the list of available actions is kind of enormous. This page breaks them down in sections by what kind of request these actions will be called under, but it's still a lot. So for some of these, you may just have to refer to parent themes or other well-written themes for some examples. But in the case of adding a widget region, widgets init is the hook you want. And so that first parameter is a string, which is the action name. And then the next one is the name of the function that should be called, which we've defined right up here. Different WordPress programmers will put their add action call before their function. Others will put it after. I like to put it after. And so you just put in the function name. It's exactly the same. And then this parameter is optional. It's the priority. The higher the number, the later this function will be called. And the default for most of these is 10. So I've given this a priority of 11 to make sure that it will fire after the parent theme's equivalent function. Because that way, if I ever want to remove sidebars instead of adding them, I can do that. So now that I've done this, I can save the file. And nothing has apparently changed here, but if I switch to a browser where I'm logged in and refresh here, I have my new region. And it has my description here. So now I can stick a text widget in there. And let's say I'm going to use this for some contact information. That looks good. I'll tell it to automatically add paragraphs so I don't have to put any markup in there. And save it. Very basic. Now if I switch back to the browser where I can see things on the front end, it doesn't matter if I refresh this because I haven't told my theme where to put that newly defined widget region. So we'll be doing that next. But for now, you can see that the function to add a widget region is pretty simple. It's just a specially named function. You tell WordPress when to call it, and you just fill out this array, and you're all set. So that's how to define a widget region, and soon we'll be looking at how to place it and style it.